Anime fights are an incredibly important part of a battle anime, and of course it would be. The entire anime revolves around fights. Most people who watch actual anime watch it for the fights, and an anime of hype entertaining fights is like heroin for my shonen addicted mind. Now, an important question to ask is, what makes a fight good? Of course animation is important, but certain fights have some over-intriguing features that make it good, like the hype of fairy tale fights, or the uniqueness of stand fights, or the complexity of nen fights. However, the fight that we're talking about today portrays none of these. In fact, these fights are all from the same series and have no allure at all. These fights aren't even from an anime, they're from a manga, Record of Ragnarok. The plot of Record of Ragnarok was quite simple. Essentially, it's a 13v13 tournament between humans and the gods. It basically decides the fate of humanity. If humanity loses this tournament, they'll be completely erased. Now, I know you might say that obviously the gods will win, they're gods, but the gods are given limitations. They can't use their powers, just like Zeus can use the lightning. They can only fight with a weapon, or their fists if they choose. Noble objects can't pierce the gods, so Valkyries bond humans to form a weapon that can kill a god. The gods obviously have the advantage, but the humans are quite special. The humans range from different parts of time and different areas, while the gods range from different cultures. The fights I'll be talking about are Adam vs Zeus, Kojo vs Poseidon, and Heracles vs Jack the Ripper. The unique thing about Record of Ragnarok fights is that the characters that fight are only seen in the fights, so just have that fight to get attached to the characters. The thing is, however, they make the characters very easy to get attached to. Obviously, you'll be naturally rooting for humanity to win, because it is humanity, but you should have no sense of attachment to the human side. But no, the fight makes you heavily attached to the characters. An example of this is Adam vs Zeus, the best and most popular fight. Adam is the father of humanity against Zeus, the father of the gods. Adam is fighting against Zeus, and seeing Adam fight so hard is intense, but it hits much harder when you learn the reason why Adam is fighting so hard. Zeus points out that Adam's eyes have no hatred towards the gods, and so he asks Adam why he's fighting. What Adam says after that instantly made him such a likable character. It's a father needed a reason to protect their child. This is when the whole father of humanity aspect comes into play. We realize he is fighting his heart out just to protect the beloved children he cherishes so much. Seeing him push himself to his very limits evokes such an intense emotion as you just want the fight to end and for Adam to win already. Structurally, the fight is about as simple as it gets. Adam had this power where he can copy any attack the gods threw at him. So in his fight with Zeus, he simply copied what he was doing and did it back to him, just more effectively. The fight was literally a one-sided slaughter on Adam's part until he couldn't keep up with Zeus' transformation. However, it's just something about it, so much heart put into the fight that it comes out as an amazing battle despite it being so bland on paper. It just goes to show that above all else, what really makes a fight work is the effort and intensity each side puts. You need to be able to understand these characters from the way in the fight alone to like them, and watching how hard they try to win is a good measure of that. A similar thing is seen with Kojo in his fight. He was known as history's greatest loser, a real-life samurai who lost a lot of fights. He was by no means weak, but because he lost to Miyamoto Musashi, people don't really remember him. You see him fighting against Poseidon, an incredibly mighty god, and struggling against Poseidon's immense power, but he still pushes himself. He never got the experience to be a winner properly, so if he loses it won't change anything, but for the sake of humanity he pushes himself to win. Here you have a man that has never tasted victory, but was sharpened by all the losses he took. Winning meant so much more to him than losing, because if he lost he wasn't losing anything. It would have just been another day for him, but watching him get that sweet taste of victory makes up for the fact that his character only existed for a few merely chapters. Understanding characters from fights is first and foremost task of battle. Whether it be a newly introduced character or a day one character, have them demonstrate something on the field that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. Looking back to what I said about of course you would want humanity to win, Heracles vs Jack the Ripper completely flips this on his head. I was stuck between an internal dilemma as to who I was rooting for to win. Jack the Ripper was so interesting, but Heracles was clearly the hero of the fight. He was a great fighter and the children on the god side were all rooting for him, holding little toys of him. He was like a superhero pushing himself through all of Jack the Ripper's tricks. As the fight went on, the internal dilemma spiraled as both characters became so much more likable. It was at the point where I just wanted to be a draw and I didn't want any one of them to die. Jack kept developing as a character and Heracles kept on showing how good of a guy he was, and why he was someone worth rooting for. This manga's ability to get you so attached to characters in the same battle they were introduced is astonishing. These fights didn't have any hype as you don't know any of the characters in them. They don't have much creativity, it's just an unarmed battle, and it doesn't have some sort of complex battle system to make it unique. And yet the fights tug at your emotions. These fights are truly something worth watching. However, this is stigma against manga battle series. Why would you want to read a fight instead of watching it? Now for these fights in specific, there is a magical spell I have for you. All you have to do is search up these fights on YouTube and watch videos there. All fights have music behind them and have the pages moving panel by panel smoothly. The manga itself is very well drawn, so it shouldn't be much of a problem. Now you might wonder why you should just watch the fights. That's what I did. I just watched those fights and got me hooked into the series. I didn't read the manga. I watched the fights and felt like I need to make a video and talk about just how good they were. And the fact that I jumped in the middle of this manga with no background info or nothing just shows how amazing these fights are to hook me despite me not knowing if the manga is even good or not. It's incredibly worth checking out and will keep your interest the entire time. Well, that's it for the video. See you in the next one, and peace.